Hello and welcome to another skill of the week for coil, or I guess it's a combination pottery, which we are combining coils and slabs to create a creative teapot. Okay, so I have already made my slabs in advance, and if you can't remember how to make slabs, then check out the how to make a slab pot video. I've also made some coils of various lengths just so that I'm ready for the purposes of doing this demonstration. I would not recommend making your coils in advance because you don't know how much of it you're going to be able to use and how much will dry out before you're ready for it. So we're going to get started. I'm actually going to be planning out a teapot that looks like the Trojan horse. I'm kind of interested in that. It's, obviously the words are backwards for you, but I've made notations as to where my slabs are going to be, where my coils are going to be, and kind of planned it all out in advance. So this is the base of my teapot, and I've made my sidewalls, and I'm getting ready to put those on now. So they're kind of squishy, so I might have to do a little bit of moving around with them and holding them up with different things. So, you know, it's just like when we made the slab pot when you're attaching your slabs. It's just going to be hatching those edges and attaching them. Okay. Making sure that your slabs are nice and moist. I'm just going to kind of seal it up right like that, even though I would normally seal it with a coil, just so it has some stability for now, because these particular slabs are a little bit soft. So you can see that they can curve and that kind of thing, but I needed them a little bit soft because of the shape that I'm making. Excuse me. Okay, and I need to put my other one on so that I can match them up. So I'm going to support that with a piece of plastic. Make sure this fits properly. Hatch it. So you want to be making a sketch and kind of planning out what you're going to do and how things are going to work for your teapot. If you don't plan quite a bit in advance, then you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants and you really don't know what you're doing, and you have to make lots of changes. It doesn't really go the way you want it to go. You always need to really have a plan for it. So just smoothing those edges in. Now I am going to be doing some carving on this because it does have some sculptural elements. So I'm not going to worry about too much smoothing right at this moment. I'm going to get my little coils ready to go into the inside. And remember, those little coils have to be tiny, really, really tiny, because you want them to sink into the seams of your pot. Okay, so we want to press them in pretty tight. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to press it in while holding the outside, really make it seal that seam. And then smooth it in. Because since this is going to be a teapot, we don't want any water leaks or cracking or anything like that. Okay, and I just about have this coil ready. I'm going to go ahead and press it into this seam. Okay, so I've got it pressed in there. I'm going to smooth it into the bottom, smooth it into the top, and then smooth it all out so it blends. I don't want any of my seams showing. Okay, smooth this base in a little bit more. Okay, right now it's not looking like much of anything, but I did do a lot of planning on this, so I'm going to actually have these be the front legs This is going to be the back of the horse. I'm going to be doing some sculpting here and some sculpting on the front. And the reason why it's so wide, I mean, horses aren't that wide, obviously, but it is supposed to be a wooden horse, the horse that mythologically the Greeks built to give as a fake gift to the Trojans. The Trojans were fooled by it and pulled the wooden horse into the city, not knowing that it was full of Greeks ready to kill everybody. So, okay, so this slab is going to go in here. So I'm basically making it big so that it can act as if it's holding a bunch of soldiers. Okay, kind of got to plan this a little bit. I think I want this on the outside so that, actually, I think I'm going to cut some of this so that my slab can fit in here a little bit better. So sometimes even though you plan things, it doesn't quite go as you first planned it, and you have to make some adjustments. And since these are really soft, I don't have a problem doing that. Okay, so now I've cut it down so that these are to the inside of this next slab. So I'm going to hatch on the edge of this. Okay, I'm going to hatch on the edge of this, making sure it's nice and roughed up so that it'll grab that clay. And these are really moist. You can tell they're very floppy. So I'm not going to have a problem attaching this. It's going to be moist enough. And since I've made sure that it's moist enough, I'm not going to hatch this because I want to make sure that I place it correctly, and I don't want a bunch of hatching there to mess me up. So I'm going to press it down. It's going to be kind of weird because I'm shaping it a little bit differently than a box would be shaped. I've never done anything this way before. I've done teapots like with coils and things like that, but never like this. So I'm kind of shaping this as I go to make sure it's the size and shape that I want. Okay. So here's how it's looking. Okay, it's not going to be a box. I'm actually going to trim those things off because I wanted the shape of these legs splaying out on this wooden board, basically. All right, I'm going to hatch a little bit here so that it attaches a little bit better. Okay, there we go. Pressing it in. Okay, just pressing it into this area, and then I'm just going to trim this off right here so it's the right shape. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to kind of mark where I need to make my hatching. Okay, sorry, it's so hard to see. Okay, and then I'm going to pull that off a little bit, hatch it, and then stick it on there really good. Okay, and then I'm going to trim that off. Smooth that in, just like I would on a regular box. Okay. And the same with this side. Supporting that inside, smoothing it in. Okay. And then I still have coils to put on the inside of those seams. So since these are wet, I can use things that I made, or cut off rather. Okay, I'm going to stick these in here. It's kind of hard to get my hands in there, so I'm kind of just rolling the coil into place. Pressing it in, and then make sure I smooth it. Okay, and I'll need some coils in these corners too. So I'm just going to use that piece that I just cut off because it's pretty soft. Make my tiny, tiny coil. Remember, really, really, really skinny. Okay, and press that into that seam. It might just be long enough to do for this one too. There we go. Okay, and press into those seams. All right, smooth that out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now I'm ready to fit this side on. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did before and cut this away a little bit to fit that next slab in place. And I'm going to hatch this. Hatch this. Hatch the bottom edge. And I'm going to place it before I get ready to hatch those other areas. Because remember, it needs to match that other side. Okay, so I'm going to look at this and see how that matches. Draw where I want to hatch it. Okay, then I'm going to pull that down and I'm just going to hatch that side. And then I'm going to press it in. Okay, so this is, you can kind of see what I'm doing here, pressing it in there. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this off. There's going to be quite a bit of sculpting happening here because I'm going to carve this to look like wood pieces, slats that they have built to make this Trojan horse. But this is just construction period right now, so I'm trying to think about how all this has to get put together. So this is going to be the front of my teapot. This is going to be the back of my teapot. So right now, if you can imagine, horse's leg coming up like this, and then the belly is going to be carved in here, and then the back leg is going to be here. I am going to sculpt a little bit back here so that it takes on more of a shape of a horse. Okay, so I think I'm going to trim this down just a little. I made it taller than I thought I would need, just so I could see what it looked like. And I am going to need to put coils in those seams right there. So I'm going to go ahead and, that's a little bit dry. I don't think I'll use that. I'll use this when it's more moist. Okay, teeny tiny coils. Pressing those into the corner. Pressing that one into that corner. Just kind of laying them in there right now. Let's see, this one's going to need to be about this big. And I'll just lay that in there. Yeah, it's a small space even for my little hands. Okay. And then this is kind of going to be blind for me because I can't really see what I'm doing. The space is so small. So I just have to feel and make sure that that coil gets pressed in and that I'm protecting the outside so I don't smash through it. This is just for extra support on those seams. It's not for looks. It actually serves a function. Okay, press that in on the bottom. Make sure we get it all filled up. Okay. And I'm kind of moving it around now just because I wanted a certain shape, and it kind of got misshapen with my hand in there. Okay, so now the rest of this is going to be coils. So that's where my combination comes in. I've done some slabs, now I'm going to do some coils. Okay, so I've got the bottom part, okay, this section all done. Okay, so now I'm going to start with some coils. And I have to think carefully about how I want these coils done because it's got to look like the back of a horse. So right now I'm thinking I got to bring the chest out a little bit. So I'm going to hatch to the outside of this slab. And I might have to do a little bit of sculpting here too. So I'm bringing this coil out here. And I might build several coils at a time just to get the feel of the shape. And the nice thing about this is I can carve off things if I don't like the shape. If it looks too bulky or I don't feel like it's coming together well. I made these coils a little bit thicker than I normally would so that I could do some sculpting. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put some here because I need to make that belly portion. And I'm going on the outside again. And normally I would never break off these coils. I would do one continuous coil just for stability. Sorry, I had a hiccup there. But because I'm kind of getting the feel for the shape right now, I'm doing it in little sections. And again, it's just like with when we made coil pottery, you press it down before you start attaching it. I don't want you laying it on there and saying, oh, I got to get the shape of it. No, you actually have to hatch it and then attach it and press down before you attach it. Okay. And of course, if this is the front, this is the back, so we're going to need a little bit of a rear here. So I'm going to get a coil on here just to give it some shape. And then I can start thinking about shape for the rest of it. And smoothing these coils in underneath here. And I'll probably be adding more coils to give that sculpting kind of feel for the shape, the belly, the rear, the chest. And I'll be taking away some clay as well. But you get the idea of how to start putting the coils and the slabs together. I'll make a second, I'll build this for a while, and then when I'm close to being done, I'll start another video.